Hello, and welcome to You're Wrong About Musicals. I'm Esme,
And I'm now.
and today we are going to be talking about Pasek and Paul's 2016 musical, Dear Evan Hansen.
The worst musical ever written.
The vibe is not going to be positive today. It's going to be interesting. We are.
If you like Dear Evan Hansen, I still think you should stay because you can find out why you're wrong about musicals.
Good pun. Good pun.
I
I
worked
am
really hard.
I am known as a Dear Evan Hansen hater in many groups, having a conversation with someone today, and they were like, ever since you explained how Dear Evan Hansen was wrong to me, I get an icky feeling about it.
I hate it so much. I don't talk about it with anyone. It's just horrific.
We talk about it a lot.
Yeah, but I know you. See, if I talk about it with you, if I say Dear Evan Hansen is so bad, I don't run the risk of you going, actually, it's really good.
No, I like to talk about how it's bad in front of people who think it's good, so that I can convert them to the cause.
I think there are a lot of musicals, especially around the time that Dear Evan Hansen happened, that have bad points, particularly looking back on them. But all of them have some redeeming qualities. Dear Evan Hansen doesn't.
We'll get into
apart
it.
from Mike Feist.
Oh my god, I walked past the Soho Palace Theatre today by accident.
Oh my god. We walked past Mike Feist by accident.
Mike Feist on a bike.
Mike Feist on a bike next to a school trip.
And she was like, I couldn't imagine Mike Feist on a bike. Are you sure it was him? I was like, well, he wasn't actually on the bike. He was wheeling it.
He was for a bit, but when we saw him,
he was it was a Lime bike, wasn't it?
Yeah. And to be clear, we don't actually know if it was Mike Feist, but I'm 90% sure
it looked like him. And for reference, we were very normal about it.
Well,
in his view,
I don't think he knew that we knew it was him if it was him.
Yes, he wasn't because there were also a school trip next to us, and so he couldn't be too weird.
Yeah, but I saw him and Esme was saying something.
I was talking about directions.
Talking about something. Who cares? And I said, Esme, I don't mean to interrupt you, but that guy that just went past us on the bike looked freakishly like Mike Feist. She looked behind, because he was at a different crossing on the road, and she looked behind me to look at him, and she was like, now is Mike Feist.
And then we just start walking down the road, and we he's going the opposite direction of us, and we keep walking the way we were going, and we get halfway down the road, and we're just like, that was Mike Feist.
We just saw Mike Feist. And we took a picture of us having a breakdown over it.
A video that we sent to someone being like, we just saw Mike Feist on the street corner.
Saw Mike Feist, and he was next to a school trip, and we didn't say anything.
What would we have said to Mike Feist? We hate Dear Evan Hansen.
Big fan of you in Brokeback Mountain. Most boring show on the West End.
We've not seen it. We would like the record to state we've not seen Brokeback Mountain.
No.
Worst. Actually, I don't know what the worst thing I've ever seen. Actually, we're going to talk about it today.
We're going to talk about the worst thing we've ever seen.
Because we've seen it. We've seen it.
In previews.
In previews. On the West End. On the West End, obviously. I'm not travelling to see this shit.
No. Anyway. I had a breakdown. It's just a show.
Just a show.
My dad told me it was just a show when I started crying in the middle of this shit.
It wasn't in the middle, it was that interval. It was very well timed.
Yeah, I hate to break this to you, Esme. The middle of the show is actually the interval.
But it makes it sound like it makes it sound like you were just sat there and it was happening and you were crying.
I cried during Requiem as well.
That's a normal human reaction.
It wasn't for the reasons that most people would cry during Requiem.
We're not going to get into that.
I was sat there thinking, God, I'm really at Dear Evan Hansen right now.
I'm really taking something away from someone who would love to be here.
That's my favorite thing about saying that I saw Dear Evan Hansen in previews, because people who do like it are like, oh my god, you saw Dear Evan Hansen in preview? That's so cool. I'm like, it's actually shit. It's the worst show I've ever seen.
That really radicalized us to the hate brigade. So
yeah, in part it was closure. But it also just made me realize, there's no redeeming this. This is a bad show.
So let's get into it. On that note,
let's take it back to the beginning.
Let's take it back to 20. The earliest date I've got written down here is 2007 on the first page. No, they weren't writing in 2007, but there was something else notable that happened in the development. So Dear Evan Hansen is a musical that has music and lyrics by Ben Pasek and Justin Paul, who have done other works like Dogfight and The Christmas Story, which were moderate successes.
I only know Dogfight.
Yeah, I feel like A Christmas Story is one that you go view, you go like watch, and then don't think about it.
Never think about it again.
It's like Elf the musical.
I've never seen Elf.
I've never seen it.
The
It's
musical
always
or the
it's
movie.
always. Oh, of course you
I've
haven't.
never seen the movie.
Of course you haven't.
Yeah, I see it advertised all the time. We should see it.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
But their big mainstream moments were the movie musicals La La Land in 2016, which won Oscars, and The Greatest Showman in 2017.
I really enjoyed La La Land.
I got bored halfway through, to be honest.
I watched it with not you, a different friend. We watched it the same night we watched Titanic, so it was quite a sad night.
They had been rising Broadway composers since 2007 when they got the Jonathan Larson grant, which is a big deal because people love Jonathan Larson and remember his
As we talked about in the last episode, people love Jonathan Larson.
Love Jonathan Larson. But the idea of Evan Hansen came about after a meeting with producers.
Oh my god.
Stating we can't so they like sent an email, I believe in 2010. This is all in a Washington Post article, which basically chronicles the creation of Evan Hansen. It's very, very interesting, actually. Stating, so they sent this email to the main producer saying, we can't tell you how humbled and blessed we feel. This is from Pasek and Paul. That smart producers and theatre types like yourself are willing to help us develop an idea for a musical without any source material or adapted content, but a story from our lives and from our hearts.
Yeah, I forget it's based on a somewhat real story.
It's gone so... I've got a quote about that, actually. So, the wish was to write a truly original show based on a perception Pasek had had in high school, where a student died and his classmates rushed concertingly to claim the status, attention from their peers of grieving inmates that... From that unlikely premise became a story about an anxiety-ridden teenager, Evan Hansen, who, through a series of misconceptions, both in and out of his control, achieves the popular acceptance he's always craved. Though he was best friends with a student who has taken his own life. That was a direct quote from that same Washington Post article.
And so they can say that and then be like, and you have to love Evan Hansen. Evan Hansen's the best character in this show.
I think a piece of art, like anything about that very notion, would be very interesting, just not Evan Hansen.
I think it's an interesting... I've always said, I think we talked about the Murphy musical.
Oh!
The concept of a Murphy musical. We'll get into that.
Actually, I'm going to save a lot of my Murphy musical talks for a different episode.
Oh, that's true. I'll talk about it in this one. But I think the concept of Dear Evan Hansen is really good.
Yeah.
Like, they've said that it's based on a real perception that he saw, which happens a lot. I think my GCSE devising piece was on the same thing.
Kill me.
Actually. It actually was as well.
It was, yeah. I wasn't in it.
It really was.
I wasn't in it.
It's a good idea. It's just executed so badly.
Yeah, that's the issue.
I know I said right at the beginning that there was no redeeming qualities about Dear Evan Hansen. The one redeeming quality is the very basic premise. And everything from that is horrid.
So it opened, it's like it was bouncing around for a bit. So it had like workshops and all that other stuff. Barrett Wilbert Weed was involved at one point.
God, I wouldn't be surprised if Jeremy Jordan pops up. If I see Jeremy Jordan was the workshop to Dear Evan Hansen.
No, because it was always
Ben's You're sighing, and I get the feeling that maybe that's...
No, it was always Ben's
I could see Jeremy Jordan as Connor.
I feel like if it was like 5 years earlier, he would have been Connor.
Yeah. Like if they do a revival in like what 10 years, he could be Mr. Murphy.
Oh no, he will actually be Mr. Murphy. Don't put that into the universe.
Forgotten his name.
Oh, Michael Park.
Larry Murphy.
Okay, such classic names. They were really being very original when naming everyone. It was also directed by Michael Feist. Is that saying Mike Feist? Is that his name? That's his name. Michael Greif.
That's alarmingly
They are. I've never put that together until just this moment. I like a lot of his other work. He is most notable for doing Rent and a little show.
Jonathan Larson.
A little show that I'm not gonna talk about during this episode, but next to normal. So after all these
Everyone
readings,
else in this was so good. Like the cast is good, the crew is good, and then somehow they came up with Evan Hansen. We have to live with that.
And so it was also there was a book by Stephen Levinson, and this is like his baby. This is all he's done.
Oh my God.
He's done some other stuff, but like nothing as big as Evan Hansen.
It's bad.
Yeah, you could say that. More on him later.
Oh,
So
gosh.
it went to second stage, which is in DC first. I guess it's out of town tryout, and apparently that was really dark. Like that production of Dear Evan Hansen was dark. The Washington Post said about it. So the reason why the Washington Post has done so much press about Dear Evan Hansen is because that's where it started.
Yeah. Didn't Beetlejuice also do a Washington run?
Washington's very like
And then the
commonplace.
Washington run was really dark because it had like Mama Wood suicide note.
Yes. Yeah.
Does Washington have a reputation?
No, I think Washington's just like close enough to New York for all of the producers to go see it.
Yeah.
Like not New York. It makes sense why they all go there because Mean Girls also started there.
Yeah.
They said a nuanced account of lying and being lied to, and how there could be surprising advantages on both the giving and receiving end of deception.
And isn't that the crux of the problem with Dear Evan Hansen?
Which is a favourable review of the show. Okay.
It's just like, oh yeah, if you're lied to, actually that could be okay. If someone killed themselves, I wouldn't say that was actually my best friend. Can you give me all the money you had saved for his college so I can go to college?
We went to an apple orchard together this one time.
And then I broke my arm and he was there for me.
And then I'm gonna go with his hot sister.
And I actually want to date his sister, which I can never do when he was alive because you don't date your best friend's sister.
But you do date them if they're dead.
But you do if they're dead. That's okay.
Interesting distinction. So the New York Times said about it when it went to Newark, second stage somewhere. It went off Broadway for a bit. The songs written by Benj Pasek and Justin Poole strike the same complex notes with shapely, heartfelt lyrics that expose some tensions and conflicts that Connor's death and Evan's involvement causes both families. The music, played by a small but excellent band on a platform upstage, appearingly incessant pop rock.
Feelingly unstrident.
Why is it with these people in big words? You don't need to say that.
Do you want me to read the band bit?
No, I think I've got it. Gorgeous doses of acoustic guitar, keyboard, strings.
That's as generous.
Its finest and most emotionally resonant score from this promising young songwriting team. So everyone's like, it slaps.
I will say the music is good. Like the violin in Words Fail. Oh my god, the violin in Words Fail is so good.
If I'm like really having no thoughts a certain day, I will listen to a bit of it if it comes up on my shuffle.
Like, I hate to say this, honestly, if you could ignore the fact that it's from Evan Hansen, the songs are pretty good.
We'll
cut songs.
Yeah, we'll get to those. We'll get to those. So then it came to Broadway. It went to the Music Box in late 2016, I believe, and people loved it. The reviewers ate it up, and I'm not sure why. So when it came to Broadway, as I said, everyone loved it for some reason. So Deadline said, the score soars, bringing us along with it. Dear Evan Hansen is the ultimate show with a gigantic heart. And I guess the intimate part is true, because the cast is tiny.
Yeah.
So Entertainment Tonight said, still, we root for Evan at every turn. Credit to the librettist Stephen Levinson for creating such a believable young character. From the anxiety meds to the self-deprecating dialogue, Evan must say sorry a dozen times. It also doesn't help that Platt poses on top of a powerhouse voice, possesses a seemingly limitless reserve of charm. Don't be surprised if, to one degree or another, you see yourself. Okay, the Hollywood Reporter. Evan, that makes it easy to forgive Evan's role in the deception. Even as he struggles to forgive himself in particular, the performance is to savor, and one that will speak powerfully to young audiences in particular?
No. Like, both of those reviews have been like, actually, we love Evan. Evan, he lied, but it's okay. He deceived everyone in his life, but it's okay.
Evan's a small little anxious boy. We love him.
Hashtag tree bros.
Hashtag small boy.
Hashtag small boy.
Funny.
Hashtag Jared eats bath bombs.
First Jared eats bath bomb mention.
I'm going to lose it in a minute. Because why did everyone love it? And why did I love it? Why was I sat there in like 2017 being like, actually Evan's in the right?
I think because we just had the cast recording to go off of, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I've never watched a boot. Actually, have never watched a Evan Hansen bootleg, which I'm kind of happy with.
I think I might have seen a clip of it.
I've definitely seen clips, but I haven't sought out and watched a Evan Hansen bootleg.
Why would I do that? That's horrific.
And I've never watched a bootleg, just to be clear.
As we've said,
particularly not Evan Hansen ones.
I'd like the record to say I've never watched a Evan Hansen bootleg.
Or any, for that matter.
Evan Hansen was famously involved in the 2017 Tony Awards.
The war zone.
The war zone on tumblr.com. Actually, any social
media. Akin to that of the Battle of the Somme.
It was.
I don't think I can say.
It was insane.
The 2017 Tony Awards for my 9/11.
Yes, they were a lot of us like war. We were in the trenches, quite literally.
Oh my god.
So it was nominated and won Best Musical, Best Book of a Musical, Best Original Score, Best Performance of a Leading Actor in a Musical for Ben Platt, Best Performance for a Featured Actress in a Musical, Rachel Bay Jones, and Best Orchestrations. It was also nominated for Best Supporting Actor for Mike Feist. I don't know how the man got the Tony nom.
Yeah, he's in like 2 scenes.
He's in like 20% of the musical. He's on stage for 20 minutes.
20% is generous.
Best lighting design.
In the 2 first scenes, then he kills himself, and then he comes back as a ghost for about 3 more scenes. Then he's gone. He appears twice in the second act.
Yeah. Best lighting design and best direction of a musical. So people still get flashbacks from this year. Every time there's a Tony season, people talk about how bad 2017 was.
Yeah.
Like, if you ask some people, there's a glint in their eyes. During this time, there were debates about whether or not it deserved all this praise when it was up against more artistic shows, such as Great Comet and Come From Away. Great Comet got the most notifications of the season.
What?
Nominations, I meant to say. Nominations.
Great Comet was... I just remember the Great Comet, like, it was robbed. That's my main takeaway from the 2017 Tony.
Like, that was the main tagline. Like, Great Comet robbed
Great
2017. A lot of the press around that time states that the main 3 contenders for Best Musicals, so were about... How many were there? Can I do this off the top of my head? So it's Dear Evan Hansen, which won. There is Great Comet, Come From Away, and Groundhog Day.
Right? Was Falsettos in that season?
Falsettos was Revival. Yeah, the main 3 actual contenders. Sorry, Groundhog Day. We're seeing it this week, actually, Groundhog Day.
We are seeing it this week. I've never seen the movie.
Of course you haven't. So, the main 3 contenders were those, but then a Guardian article, New York Post article says that Great Comet has no chance of winning the Tony for Best Musical, and it is in between Come From Away and Dear Evan Hansen.
But it should have won. They were right, but it should have won.
It's surprising for me how they could go from giving Hamilton the Tony for Best Musical to then giving it to Dear Evan Hansen instead of Great Comet.
Yeah,
and then they gave it to The Band's Visit the next year.
Like, some years, like the different, like this year, 2017, it seems like it's all like media and public perception.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, objectively, Great Comet and
Come From
Away are better than Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah.
That's not even me being like, I hate Dear Evan Hansen. I do hate it. But
objectively,
I think regardless, like even in 2017, I probably would have said one of those should have won because they were better.
Breaking the mold for musical theatre, modern, like,
yeah,
it's very impressive.
I think Come From Away was just really profound.
I'm not a big crier at musical theatre, but I have cried at Come From Away.
Yeah.
It's very good. I love it.
It is really good.
And
then at Band's Visit, then suddenly it's like, actually, we don't care what the public says. We're just going to pick whatever we want to win.
And then 2019, they gave it to Hadestown, which is basically more commercially successful. Great comment.
Exactly. Great comment was robbed.
Great comment.
I'll stand by that.
The Guardian says that Dear Evan Hansen should and will win Best Musical at the Tony Awards, and calling it the safe choice.
What the hell?
Which is true. Like,
it probably was.
Maybe they were like, oh, maybe we went a bit too out there with giving Hamilton it, although they had to.
Yeah. But I guess the thing is, yeah, Dear Evan Hansen is a very in-the-box contemporary musical.
It's still it's an original story, so they could go, oh, we like that.
Yeah.
But I wonder if then they looked at the SpongeBob musical in 2018 and went, gotta give it to the artists.
It's so good. The SpongeBob musical is so good.
So, okay.
Can I read the synopsis? Esme's given me a very short synopsis.
So this is from the Playbill page.
Doesn't really do the horrific.
It doesn't do it. So this is like what the advertisers are told. This is what the general public are meant to know about Dear Evan Hansen before going to see it.
Yeah. Okay. A letter that was never meant to be seen. A lie that was never meant to be told. A life he never dreamed he could have. Evan Hansen is about to get the one thing he's always wanted. The chance to finally fit in. Dear Evan Hansen is the deeply personal and profoundly contemporary musical about life and the way we live it. No, it's not. It's about how if you lie enough and well enough, you can get whatever you want. And I've been living that ever since. And to be fair, it works. It's just not a good way to live. Maybe it is about how we live life.
I think that they were trying to play up the social media aspect of it. Like, we're also on our phones.
Then it seems like they're trying to do the life and death aspect, which is comparably very small.
Yeah, I think that the whole like mortality, mental health, grief,
because we have talked about the mental health aspect.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I've just got written down here is the lack of labeling in the show, how ambiguous it is about what Evan is actually diagnosed with. I mean, where you assume that it's generalized anxiety disorder because of the symptoms he presents and how simplistic, but it's never said, it's never explicitly said he is in treatment for this.
Yeah, he has a therapist, he has medication.
Yeah, and he like stops taking them halfway through the musical when his life goes great.
Which is a very outdated take. Like,
okay,
I hate to say it is the dream mask normal pills. Where it's, it'll make you. Because it's this weird thing where he takes them and he's like, oh, but this isn't helping me because no one likes me, so I'm going to stop taking them and start lying.
Yes, I mean, okay, I'm finally going to do it. Okay, so Next to Normal, right?
Oh my God.
We're all surprised it's taken me this long to finally say this.
Esme has tickets to go and see Next to Normal in the summer, and she keeps telling me, she's like, I have a scheduled breakdown on that day, so I can't do anything like the day before, the day after, the day of.
I'm doing something the day before. I think I might be seeing Les Mis.
That's worse. You're gonna come out really angry from Les Mis, and then you're gonna go and see Next to Normal, and then you're gonna see Love Never Dies in concert.
No, I'm seeing Love Never Dies, then maybe Les Mis, and then maybe Next to Normal.
Oh my God.
And then Next to Normal for sure. It's very explicitly stated from like the third song, very early on in the musical, what the mother Diana has. And at one point in the show, spoilers for Next to Normal, she stops taking her pills because her dead ghost son tells her to stop taking the pills. And like her life goes horrifically. And then she attempts suicide. And then she like restarts her life. And then like she restarts treatment and then her life starts improving.
Yeah.
The message is take your pills, kids.
Also, I want to note, Esme has given us a spot to do our thoughts and then had a separate spot for issues, as if that isn't the exact same thing.
No, so this was actually from the original draft of the Dear Evan Hansen thing.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is what I just copy and pasted over.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I talk about some thoughts?
Go ahead.
/ issues.
Go ahead.
Okay. The first thing is, where do I even begin with this? I think Requiem is good.
We're going to get to the good. There's two things we have written down.
Yeah. I want to talk about To Break in a Glove. Because it's a song in the second act of the musical, and it's very clear from the beginning of the song that it's a metaphor for something. I might have to get the text that I sent you up to remember what the hell it was talking about. But basically, I was talking
I
with
think
Esme
it's
about
meant
this.
to be about parenthood, unlike.
So yeah, so you can kind of assume from it that it's something about parenthood and like failing at parenthood, which is kind of true.
Like your child is like a glove, or being a
Yeah,
parent
but
is like a glove.
if you think about it and you think about the lyrics, so you go and look up the lyrics and listen to it, and you think, what is this metaphor actually saying?
Mm.
Who is the glove?
Yeah.
Who is the shaving cream? What is putting it under your bed every night?
That line's always been weird to me.
Yeah. It's an okay song, but the metaphor really is not clear.
I think that, like a lot of Dear Evan Hansen, if you don't think too deeply about it, it's fine.
It's okay.
Building on from that, there's a lot of just empty platitudes within the show.
Yeah.
It's a lot of like, you will be found.
I might talk about You'll Be Found because I actually wrote something about this ages ago that it never went anywhere.
You will be found, right? It's almost the mission statement for the show. It became the mission statement for the show, but they never really fully investigated what it means to be found. Because, like, the assumption that we're all under is that when you're found, you have a community, you have belonging. But the only way that Evan gets that in the show is by lying.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no substantial meaning. It just kind of goes. And they never revisit. They're never like, this is what it means to be found, to have inner peace. They could have brought it back at the end and be like,
yeah,
to be found is to cope daily with your mental illness. That's what it means. And also, they back to what I was saying about labeling, they never explicitly suggest that Connor had any indication of mental health issues that led him to his suicide.
Yeah.
They're never like, oh, Connor was in treatment for depression. I mean, it doesn't even have to be in treatment. Connor was exhibiting signs of depression or whatever. They're just like, Connor was angry. That's it. That's all we get about Connor. We know very little about this man. We just know that he probably wasn't the best person to be around. And that's like even that's very like restrained. And I mean, as we said, the Murphy family are the most interesting part of the musical.
We will get into the Murphy family in a second.
I think that honestly, I think that if they didn't have Ben Platt as Evan Hansen, it could have been a completely different show in so many ways. Like, I think they would have been able to kill the darling of Evan Hansen a little bit more.
Okay, I found my think piece about Dear Evan Hansen that I wrote.
Go. This is long, if I remember rightly.
It is very long.
I remember
Out of
reading
context.
it.
Right, yeah, I sent it to you.
Yeah.
Out of context, Dear Evan Hansen is undeniably a piece of anti-suicide media. Like, literally, its most famous song, You'll Be Found, which you just talked about, is about creating a community that's open and addressing mental health struggles, can feel isolating, and reassuring those individuals that someone is always there for them. In context, this message is almost satirical, as every character is alone. We talked about this, and we said that Dear Evan Hansen, with very little script changes, could become a comedy.
Yes, because we found an old Tumblr post that was basically like a vague summary of Dear Evan Hansen or Heathers, and was like, which one is it, Dear Evan Hansen or Heathers? But the difference with that is that Heathers can always go darker because it is a dark comedy.
Yeah. I've also realized this was my think piece, but I was like, actually, maybe Dear Evan Hansen isn't so bad, which I kind of stand by what I came up with in this. Okay. But I also think Dear Evan Hansen
it was
shit.
Such a moment of clarity. You were like, I figured it out. I figured out Dear Evan Hansen, and then you sent me this 10 minutes later.
This, I still think, is a valid criticism. The show shouldn't present itself as a safe environment for mental health struggles and then turn around and say, psych, that will never be real. And this is just idealistic thinking. I do think that even with this criticism, it opens up the idea of a different message in Dear Evan Hansen. Is a fake community worth less than a real one? If Connor Murphy is the inspiration behind the Connor Project, why did no one involved with it ever care about him? Alana simply wants people to talk to her, Evan is in the same boat but also wants a better life. Jared wants to be part of the popularity it creates. Larry wants to finally help in ways he couldn't with his son. Cynthia wants to pretend her son is still alive. Zoe wants to pretend her brother wasn't as horrible as she thought. Yet all the people impacted by the Connor project are real. They suffer from real illnesses or compassion for the project and have a real care for it. The finale of the show says that the Connor project stays up and that, as Zoe says, everybody needed it for something. This idea of you are not alone is also contrasted throughout the show. Evan constantly recalls waiting for someone to come and help him after he fell from the tree, and no one does, meaning he is alone. Alana tried to find friends and constantly reaches out to no response, meaning she is alone. Despite Jared's insisting that he has friends other than Evan, they are never fully present in the story, meaning that he is alone. Undeniably, they are bad people. They will profit off a kid's suicide for their own gain. But does that mean they deserve to be alone? I've gone through a lot of phases with Evan Hansen, from loving it and holding it as one of the best pieces of media that addresses mental health, to hating it in all of its messages. More recently, I've liked its story and wished it focused more on different characters, or even if it had a different tone that was more critical of Evan's actions. In the last half hour, though, I wrote this in half an hour while we were talking about it. In the last half hour, though, I realized that even if Dear Evan Hansen is shit for so many reasons, it helped me when I first listened to it. It created a community that was open in addressing mental health struggles that can feel isolating, and reassured me that someone is always there for me. The Connor project and the community created from Dear Evan Hansen were fake. They had bad intentions. I don't think that means they had bad consequences. And that was my think piece about Dear Evan Hansen.
I've read it to some people and they agree. They are people you know, by the way.
Yeah, good.
Also, I didn't read the last part.
You could have. I'm fine with it.
No, they weren't the people you know. They weren't randos on the street. I'm not that mad.
Where stopping people outside like the station and be like, listen to this. I also then said about Disappear that Disappear makes more sense now. Connor obviously isn't real because none of them knew him, but it doesn't matter because they're doing a good thing. And Connor says, when you hit the ground, all you need is somebody to find you, which means that it's not necessarily about saving people before they kill themselves, but doing all you can to help others afterwards, which is a bit of a weird message, but it makes more sense than Connor just being a ghost.
The way that they like very disregard Connor's life and almost, I mean, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about it.
Requiem. This was actually such a good conversation we had about this.
I remember. That's like what the most recent iteration where we were like, we need to discuss this.
Because it was a thing we were talking about, like other musicals, like we said, like Be More Chill and Heathers specifically, which we will talk about.
They're coming. Don't worry. I'm working on it.
The fandoms created this kind of mental health talk where they were like, oh, JD is suicidal, which is true in the musical too.
It is true in the musical, but JD is he's quite 2D. I mean, you get depth to him and you understand how he works. I mean, I think I understand JD's motivations more than I understand Connor's motivations.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a dark comedy. You are like, they say stuff like, did you eat a brain tumor for breakfast? Fuck me gently with a chainsaw is one of the most notable quotes from Heathers.
Yeah. And it's all of that stuff came up in fandoms and people were talking about it as fans. But Dear Evan Hansen was one of the only musicals at the time, basically like Next to Normal, but kind of the only big musical at the time that was directly focused on mental health.
Well, I mean, Next to Normal wasn't massive. Like, it did well. It got nominated for a ton of Tonys and it won the Pulitzer, but it never crossed over to the mains. It kind of did, but it never really entered mental consciousness in the same way. And I wonder how the production of London's gonna go, because I think we're ready for it now. We're more accepting of the harsh realities that Next to Normal portrays. But something that we really enjoy about Dear Evan Hansen and have stated that we always have is Requiem.
Oh my god, Requiem is so good.
We love Requiem. It slaps. I
found when I figured out what Breaking a Glove was about.
What?
Do you want to hear it again?
Yeah.
The opening bit suggests the relationship with Connor bit is meant to be hypothetical, which kind of makes sense through the song. Like, he's saying he bought the glove in hope to play catch with Connor someday, but they never did. So all the work going into Breaking a Glove never actually happened. He's just wishing he did. Like, he has all these ideas now after it's too late on how he should have cared, which I still think kind of holds up.
That's a really interesting take to have? Let's investigate that. You know,
the line is, I bought this glove a million years ago for some birthday or Christmas. That's
come and gone.
I thought we might play catch or I don't know. But he
know.
left it in the box with the tag still on.
The fact that I know that off the top of the head.
I think I know the whole song by now.
I think.
But the whole point is, I think he's saying he wasn't an absent father. He didn't not care about Connor. He did try to do things with Connor, but they never came through. He hoped to play catch with Connor. They never did. And now he's just left the glove because Connor is dead.
And then, again, that goes back to the theme in the musical of everything with the Murphy family being so fascinating.
We'll talk about the Murphy family in a second.
Okay, after you're done.
Then imply that the stuff about people using easier methods is what he ended up doing, which makes the line "till they got to buy another glove next week" very dark. Because if the glove is meant to be Connor and his relationship with Connor, then he's basically saying Connor died too soon and now they've got to try again with either Zoe or Evan, and probably Evan, even though he knows now that it would never work because he knows what he did was wrong, so he's got to do it properly. And then he tells Evan all of this, which is basically, again, Evan being a manipulator, because it's more like he's the next glove and they're going to try to treat it right even though he doesn't deserve that. Still no idea why Evan starts singing. That makes no sense. I think I think Ben Platt is just an attention seeker and wanted to be in as many songs as possible. Is what I said.
Oh, Ben Platt. I have complicated feelings about him as a public figure. I want to like him so bad, but I can't.
He's just insane.
That thing with Rolling Stone this week where he walked out of an interview, I was like, oh, Ben, I'm just starting to like you again. No.
He's so annoying.
Ben.
I think the thing with Dear Evan Hansen is that if it takes 5 years for you to figure out what a single song is about, and what the actual message of the musical is, then it's not a good musical.
I would like to go back to our Murphy family discussion because that is very interesting. God. I love the Murphy family. They're so interesting.
The musical should have just been about the Murphy family, because then it just would have been about their tragedy, and I think that would be really good because it's their son dies. Then someone tells them, actually, your son, I was his best friend. Here's so much you didn't know about him. Here's how he was actually a really good person. Actually, no, that's not true. He was a bitch.
Yeah, and like have it come out by the end of the first act that he's been lying.
Yeah, because we're also saying there needs to be more exploration about what the Murphys were actually like, because you have a lot of assumptions like, oh, Larry was a bad dad, Cynthia was absent, Zoe and Connor hated each other.
Yeah, and I mean,
but we all hear that secondhand.
The show opens with them all sat around the breakfast table, but when they're talking, it's not like this is a volatile situation to be in. It's just
a family.
It's a family. They're normal, right? But I mean, one of your favorite scenes in Dear Evan Hansen that makes you laugh when it shouldn't is the doxing scene.
At the end of the show, they get doxed. At the
end of the show, the Murphys get doxed because the letter that Evan has wrote for himself that starts the whole show is been posted online as Connor's suicide note. And in it, he's talking about Zoe, who instead of being his sister, he wants to date.
Yeah.
Which is his whole thing. But anyway, the scene that they have with just the three Murphys on stage talking about the doxing is fascinating.
Oh, that's not true. Evan's there.
Evan's there, but he's not talking.
Or he does at the end.
At the end. I like it until Evan starts talking.
But he's there for it. He's supporting his darling girlfriend, Zoe Murphy.
That was me screaming, but I'm not allowed to scream.
We're trying not to mess up the mic.
Not to mess up the mic levels. All my eardrums when I have to edit this.
Yeah.
But Evan, I mean, I'll say this about Zoe Murphy. I'm so annoyed that she doesn't have her own song, or like more to her character.
She needs her own song.
She needs at least her own song. We will get to when we start talking about the cut songs where I think she should have a song. But
yeah.
Requiem's amazing. I love it. I love all the melodies at the end. I think it's been done very well. And I want to know where they wrote that.
Yeah. It's so good.
If I could ask Pasek and Paul any question, and it wasn't, why have you done this to me? It would be, tell me about the writing process of Requiem.
I was actually thinking about this. All of the trio songs are really good in Dear Evan Hansen.
Yeah.
Like Requiem, Sincerely Me. I hate to say it, Sincerely Me is so good.
Again, if
And,
you
like,
don't think about what's happening, it's a banger.
even if you do, it's just them saying he's a dick, which is true.
Yeah.
So it's good. And
good for you.
Good for you.
Also, another good thing I like about the musical, Good for You and So Big, So Small.
Yeah. And one other song.
Good for You is an amazing
It's
song.
so good.
And it's such a cathartic moment because, if you are watching it from a cynical standpoint, you want Evan to get his comeuppance, and that is the closest the show gets.
Yeah.
And I really like the fact that his mum is the one leading it.
Yeah.
And not... Actually, I would like Zoe to get involved in Good for You.
Yeah. But I think it's also important that she doesn't.
No. I think she does. I'm always left wondering, so where does Zoe go from here?
I think that's the thing. Like, there are so many questions that you have left about the Murphy family that aren't answered, which is why I would love if they were just the subject of the musical.
Yeah,
And
they're interesting enough.
But I also think that if you do still have the musical from Evan's perspective, there being nothing about the Murphys is also interesting from a cynical standpoint because he doesn't know them. The only way he knows them is from lying.
Make him the villain, then.
He is the villain.
No, but like, make him the villain.
Yeah.
Like, make sure the audience member knows that when they walk out. Don't do your Oklahoma Revival morally grey character shit on me.
Exactly.
Be honest. He sucks.
Exactly.
The other good thing I have written down is the set design.
Oh, the set's quite cool.
The set is sick.
I know I said at the beginning that there was nothing redeeming about Evan Hansen. And again, I stand by this. I fucking hate this musical. The only way it's ever good is when you yourself take a step back and you start making assumptions and looking into things.
It's when
because at face value, the musical is shit. It's about Evan is a hero when he should be the villain. If you look at it and you say it is what I was saying about how it still created a good community.
Yeah.
It still had an okay message.
Yeah.
And the Murphy family are cool. Then I think you can enjoy it that way. But I think if you have to do that to make a musical good, it's not a good musical.
But that's not where the Dear Evan Hansen machine ends. It's basically where it starts. Because we'll get into it. But this thing was commercialized to shit to a level.
We said this before. If I Could Tell Her is such a weird song when you actually realize what he's saying. Because he's talking about what he feels about Zoe. Being Evan.
I think,
which is romantic. But he's saying it through the lens of it being her brother.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this weird kind of tone where he's saying, oh, your brother was in love with you.
Your brother...
I am in love with you.
No, it's not even that your brother was in love with you. Your brother cared about you.
Yeah.
There's this weird line that they tread.
Because if you looked really pretty, or it looked pretty cool.
It looked pretty cool. Don't sing so. The cast recording, which is how we found out about this amazing songs and story. So they released this thing, the cast recording, like it was an album. Like they did a full-on rollout for this thing. So Waving Through Window was released months before the full recording was released. Basically, they announced the recording and they were like, here's Waving Through Window, which I don't even want to get into. Like, that song is not good.
I actually don't mind it out of context. It's not a great song, but it's kind of fun to sing.
It's fun to sing, but if I think about it I feel sick.
Is it the Owl City version?
I don't know.
I think it's Owl City did a version of it, which is quite cool. I like it.
Wait, like Owl City, like the guy who Enchanted is about?
I was going to say Owl City is in the guy who wrote Fireflies, but sure.
Yeah.
Same guy.
Same guy.
Yeah.
He did his own cover.
He did a cover of Waving Through a Window.
He did a cover of Enchanted as well. It's horrific.
I do actually remember seeing that.
Taylor, I was enchanted to meet you. Anyway, Swiftie showing again.
Taylor Swift musical when?
Don't get me started. Talking about this first. So, the cast recording, it was available beginning December 2nd with an instant free download of the songs that were available in advance if you pre-ordered it. So they're really driving these pre-orders. They're like pre-order our album, pre-order our album, pre-order our album. 2 weeks before, they released Requiem for only 24 hours.
God, they really hyped it up.
They also did the same with You Will Be Found. But I think that was just like you can have it forever.
Yeah.
And there was a music video for Only Us. But it's like Ben Platt and Laura Dreyfus did in the studio singing. Okay.
Like Only Us is quite a good song.
Again, if you don't think about it, I got you.
It's kind of a cute love song if you ignore the fact that it's from dear Evan Hansen.
And they're doing it on the dead brother's bed.
We were talking about this. We said that they should have had Ghost Connor on stage trying to break them up during that song. Not only because it would have been funny, but because it's really fucked up to do it in his room.
Yeah. They're just like singing and like making out in his room, and it's like, this is the dead person's room. Get out. Zoe has her own room. You guys are rich.
Yeah.
The Murphys.
Oh my God, I'm on the Murphy family thing again. I think the idea of them being like the ideal American family.
Yeah.
Like 2 parents, own house, 2 kids, 1 boy, 1 girl. The boy's older, the girl's younger. And then they have just how fucked up it actually is. I think it's so interesting.
That's really interesting and very 2017. I'm not gonna lie to you. So when
I'm really bad about it, but it was when one of the understudies was Zoe.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, I really like, but we think she was black.
Okay. No, there was a black understudy at one point. I'm sure there were many
cast. Apart from, I mean, most of the main cast actually. Thinking about it, the understudy cast was pretty diverse.
That's a whole other issue that we are not.
That is a different issue.
We are not qualified to get into.
I mean, we're not going to get. But they had a black Zoe on for a few performances as an understudy, and I just remember someone saying, "I really like the idea that Zoe's adopted, and that's why Connor hates her."
Interesting.
I'm like, that is interesting. I think you've missed the point of the musical. And
the whole thing would just be so interesting if they put a tiny bit more thought into it.
I think we haven't even started discussing the fandom.
No, we're gonna get to it. I have academic papers about the fandom.
I have things to say from first-hand experience.
After viewing what you just sent me. But when the cast album finally did come out, it charted at number 8 on the Billboard charts, having the highest debut for a Broadway cast recording since Camelot in 1961.
Jesus.
It sold 26,000, with 25,000 coming from traditional album sales. It is only the 4th cast recording to crack the top 10 on the Billboard 200 in the last 50 years. The others being Hamilton, The Book of Mormon, and The Book of Mormon, which made it to number 3, and Hair, which hit number 1 in 1969.
Hair was iconic.
Like, my mum talks about her mum listening to Hair and like having it on as a record in the house. So Hair is like a completely different thing. It's in a completely different league, I believe. So in 2017, it was number 2 on the year-end list for the Billboard soundtrack charts. For 2018, it was number 3. No, it was number 2, sorry. And then in 2019, it has moved down to number 3, where it stayed until 2021. Which is insane that it's still at number 3, if I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. I didn't think it would be that high.
No, I didn't. That's why I checked, but it's the same for all years. In 2018, they announced the deluxe edition of the album, which not many musicals do. I mean, Hamilton did, but Hamilton was...
I think it was definitely a Hamilton thing, because then they released all of the cut songs.
Yeah, but Hamilton.
And it was a very Hamilton thing.
Hamilton's a cultural phenomenon. Evan Hansen.
That's what I think Evan Hansen is trying to do that.
Yeah.
So that's why it had its deluxe release, the songs release, all of that. It's trying to be Hamilton when it is not. Hamilton's good.
Hamilton is a cultural masterpiece. Evan Hansen's a wannabe cultural masterpiece. Like, that's how I view them.
It was for like a few years. For at least a year, probably longer, because people still talked about it into like 2020.
2020 was the death of Evan Hansen in my eyes.
Thank God.
We were cheering. We were there.
I was so happy. When did we see it?
Oh God, it was the last show you saw before COVID. 2019.
Must have been. I think I have a picture.
Yeah, it was November 2019 because it was
It was
dark.
October.
Anyway, so this is fun, and I discovered it, and now I wish to undiscover it. For the deluxe edition bonus track, the one that's like got the blue cover and the arm in the cast is faded.
Oh yeah.
They had Katy Perry singing Waving Through a Window.
Oh my god.
Katy Perry re-recorded it for the promotion of the national tour. She said, "I've struggled with depression and like so many, always feeling alone in battling and wanting to belong." She states that the show embodied the mental isolation I sometimes thought. That's why when the show's creators, Ben Pasek and Justin Paul, asked Perry to re-record the show in help to launch the national tour and continue the conversation of mental health, she was all in.
Which is, I think, what I'm saying. It for the moment, it was really good. It opened up this conversation. It created a conversation in a lot of spaces.
Yeah.
I think it just doesn't have like it wouldn't survive for long. It didn't.
It doesn't have
was
the
never going
to still. It doesn't have the nuance. It's not old enough to be a period piece and for us to look at it and go, "Oh, it was revolutionary for the time, but now we know better."
Yeah. I also
And
think
it's
it
not
probably would have
nuanced enough.
survived longer if it hadn't been for the pandemic.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
Because
And the
suddenly
movie.
this talk about how these characters are so isolated and that's why they do what they do. Suddenly everyone was isolated. I was like, well, actually, I'm not lying to everyone I know. So
Yeah. And also I'd like to compare it to Next Normal again. With that, I mean that was written started being written 15 years ago at this point, and it's still quite and I mean, like, it's still about, and no one's looking at it and going, "This is so dated, what the hell." But
yeah, but somehow with Evan Hansen,
Evan
that's what people are
Hansen,
saying.
we're like, "This is so dated, what's going on?" But
Yeah.
so, and then they also did the deluxe edition, which had Part of Me, which was the predecessor of You Will Be Found. I did enjoy the fact that they got the current cast members to do it. That was very nice.
Yeah.
Like, including them. So they had Obvious performed by Taylor Trench. I have nothing to say on that. Hiding in Your Hands, which is a Zoe song. I wish it was still in the musical.
I don't even think it's like that amazing of a song.
No.
I just wish she'd had a song.
I wish she had a song, and it makes sense because she's in jazz band. It makes sense that it's on this little ukulele thing. Like,
yeah,
it's an interesting song.
It's like even Jared has a song, and so does Alana.
Yeah,
they're just reprises.
Yeah.
They have little reprises, but they have their own
they
songs.
have a moment where they're alone on stage singing. Zoe doesn't have that.
Like the beginning of Requiem, maybe. But
they replaced it. They replaced Hiding in Your Hands with If I Could Tell Her.
My God, the worst song.
The worst song. Exactly. So then there was A Part of Me, which we've discussed.
The best song from Evan Hansen that was unfortunately cut.
In the Bedroom Down the Hall.
The best song from Evan Hansen.
I love it so much. It's so good.
I actually listen to it on like all the time. It's the only good song. Apart from like Requiem.
Again, it is, but like In the Bedroom Down the Hall is a lot easier to digest.
It's also the thing, even if it was on the album and you had to listen to it in the context of it being from Evan Hansen, I'd still enjoy it. So I think it fits that context perfectly and still is a good song with a good message.
No, 100%. And then Disappear acoustic for some reason. They just like.
I actually really like Disappear.
I actually hate it.
I think it's a really funny song.
I've never actually got it. There's a lot of media around why are all these teenagers into Dear Evan Hansen? The Washington Post said a show that is astonishingly well timed for a younger generation of ticket holders seeking to claim their own theatrical touchstones. But I think that they were massively capitalizing off of all the Hamilton fans, the Hamiltons.
Yeah.
That were.
I think I think Dear Evan Hansen only became such a phenomenon because of luck.
Yes.
Because it was riding off the success of Hamilton, which was successful because of talent and being a good musical. And so suddenly there were all of these young people interested in musicals and theatre and all of that. And then out comes a show which is about young people struggling with mental health and feeling outcast for being some weirdos. And the musical theatre teens are like, holy shit.
One thing about
I'm
musical
outcasted for
theatre
being a
people
weirdo.
is that they have a persecution complex and like to think that
Yeah.
they're quirky, different, not like other girls.
And
So
this is coming from people who are musical theatre teens.
yeah, but I like to think I have a bit more self-awareness now than I once did.
Oh, I've been thinking a lot about myself, especially back then.
No,
I
I think
definitely,
no, back then,
yeah,
horrific. Now I think I'm all right.
I think I'm quite normal now.
I think I'm quite
It's because I
normal.
saw Phantom,
It's because I
and
saw
now I'm
Lana.
normal.
It's because I saw Lana Del Rey, so my other girls
And
complex
now we're
has
normal.
gone. Yeah, yeah. Evan Hansen were very keen to establish themselves as a big cultural moment without really
It was
having
just luck that they managed
the
to
further.
appeal to the current is influxing a word?
Yeah, because
Incoming
it
fans.
was bouncing around pre-Hamilton.
Yeah, and it never got the success. And then
Yeah,
Hamilton happened, and now all
Hamilton
of these
happened.
teens who struggle with mental health, because that's kind of the age that everyone struggles with mental health the most.
That's the age where
The
everyone
hormones and
feels
shit.
a little weird and a little bit like, oh, I feel very alone.
And suddenly there's a musical who is saying, you know what, you're not
Alone.
alone.
So, in an effort to give it itself some self-importance, they donated to the National Museum of American History or the Smithsonian.
God.
The museum will receive Evan's signature blue striped polo, an iconic arm cast with the Connor signature. It will also include a donation of the button from the Connor Project, a fictional organization dedicated in memory to Connor Murphy. One of the principals of the show, a signed copy of the titular Dear Evan Hansen letter, and a piece of original sheet music for Waving Through a Window, signed by Oscar, Grammy, and Tony winning composers, Ben Pasek and Justin Paul, and Tony Grammy winning orchestrator Alex Lacamoire.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So someone said Alex Linteman, entertainment curator at the National Museum for American History, says this show explores poignant contemporary issues such as mental health, social media, suicide, and the trifles of being a teenager in the 21st century through emotive staging, memorable pop rock music, and compelling performances. This will join other artifacts such as Hamilton, Hello Dolly, A Chorus Line, Cats, Fiddler on the Roof, This Army, Kiss of the Spider Woman. But that was really interesting to me because I was like, they were really, really trying to make this something. Also,
Yeah,
I will say I'm looking at a photo of the staging for Waving Through a Window, and I'm reminded of how good it is.
it is actually really good.
The staging is sick. Say what
The
you will.
staging is quite cool. I remember when we went, I liked before it started, they just had the bed set on screen, and then like they had the sounds of like social media,
Yeah.
like texts being sent and like tweets going out and all of that, which is quite cool.
There's a disturbing amount of literature around Dear Evan Hansen for my liking. And it kind of falls into two categories. The way that the fans are interacting with it and the mental health aspect of it. So there is hashtag you will be found per participatory fandom, social media marketing, and Dear Evan Hansen by Adam Rush. Which
I hate to say it, that was a really good marketing technique. Like saying like, hey, if you release a video of you saying you'll be found and tweet it as the hashtag, we'll put you on the show.
We will.
You know what? That's pretty damn good.
You will be on Broadway.
And you know what? I was there and I was like, you know what? Maybe I will.
I never did that.
I didn't.
So it looks at the study by Adam Rush was drawing on studies of fan participation, labor, and parasociology. This article explores the continue. Oh, I've not shared it with you. Let me.
Oh, I love parasocial stuff.
I know you do. You heard parasocial. Now you should be able to say.
Yeah, I literally just had parasocial, and I was like, oh my God, I love that.
This article explores the continuing diversification of musical theatre via fandom, via social media, and the interactive ways in which the production harnesses fan engagement. This analysis focuses on Evan Hansen as a musical that depicts emotionally vulnerable teenagers and exploitative online communications, notions that are often reflected on how the fans interact with the show. Fan generated content is regularly recycled in marketing material and even merchandise that is used to sell the production. Similarly, the musical's producers and marketing team frequently invite interaction around the musical's core main mantra, you will be found. These interactions benefit fans by potentially eliciting the feeling of social inclusion that may be experienced as empowering. However, this practice can also be interpreted as ethically dubious, as some of the musical's narrative content, given that fans are providing free advertising for a commercial musical.
Yeah.
I heard that and went, that's genius.
It really is.
What the hell? Adam Rush was onto something.
This is pretty good.
This is very decent. It will be linked. You guys, everyone, if anyone's listening, go read it. It's very, very good. But you know, and then I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, Hamilton did the same thing. And then I was like, but it was never used that much.
What did Hamilton do?
Like, I mean, they would post fan art, but it was never to the extreme that Evan Hansen was.
Yeah.
But it was often in the same way that a lot of musicals would post fan art.
Yeah. I don't know. It was, I think since then there hasn't really been a musical that's been like, we're gonna use you for advertising.
Free advertising.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Yes, let's
see. Because there's a difference between like me seeing a musical, listen to a musical, and being like, Esme, you should listen to this. It's so good. And
Yeah.
that being free advertising, and between me recording a video and saying, come and see this show.
Yeah. I mean, there's been another one done, which is Fancies Are Waving Through a Window, Exploring Evan Hansen, The Fan Phenomenon by David E. Bird? I believe that's how it's said. In experiences, or in this case, of viewing a live musical theatre performance combined with the shared empathy over the plot line, we're quickly augmented by a networked youth audiences, a desire to share their experiences and feelings on visual social media platforms like Instagram and Tumblr. Our objective in writing an article for this show is how the fans and community used Evan Hansen to create a new type of fan activism, one where the members of the community are likely to not have engaged with the primary text, seeing it live in person, one where the theatre fandom is largely based online, one where the Broadway play uses the internet as a central plotline to discuss teen difficulties with mental health, social anxiety, and suicide, one where fans reflectively use social media platforms to create cultural artifacts as a means of combating the same concerns about online meditated mental health, social anxiety, and suicide demonstrated in the musical in their everyday and digital lives. Okay. But that was again really interesting. I was like, oh, It is fascinating how we all decided to engage with this thing in a very different way than other musicals than ever before.
Yeah.
And I thought Be More Chill was the weirdest before this.
No, I think looking back, Evan Hansen was really weird.
It was all encouraged. It was all like, go be weird. Go talk very openly about your mental health issues because you are not alone. They'd share people's stories often, and they were often like a 13-year-old. Okay, so we're gonna have, because there are so many out there. If you Google, like if you type into Google Scholar Evan Hansen, so many things come up. And I did the same for Hamilton because I was like, surely there's this much stuff about Hamilton, if not more. And a lot of it was just more its impact on musical theatre as a whole and like the technicality of it and like the actual source of it. And I don't know. I found that really interesting. But on more of the commercialization and the fan side and the marketing side of Evan Hansen, This thing has been done to death. So there was the book written in 2018.
Damn.
I've read it. I want my brain cells back. In 2018, by Pasek and Paul, Stephen Levinson, and Val Emlich. This made Connor gay and the reason why he was having mental health issues. Emlich wrote, "At first, I was incredibly faithful to the play, and then they urged me to take more chances, which I was happy to do. And then they had to reel me back in," which I thought was interesting. I don't want to read that again. The realization that I came to when I was doing this part was that they basically made published fan fiction for their own show.
Yeah.
They basically saw what everyone was saying online and put it into a book and sold it back to them.
Yeah.
Which I thought was fascinating. They also sold crypto.
I remember that.
This was recent.
Oh my god.
So starting May 13th, Roblox players were able to purchase Evan's blue polo and wear it in game. All proceeds from the sale went to digital shirt. Each digital shirt would be donated to Child Mind Institute, a US-based non-profit that was dedicated to assisting children affected by mental health disorders. They also partnered with Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Oh my god.
Mint 2 Bored Ape NFTs dressed in the same blue striped polo shirt, Bored Ape number, board, and another number of, I'm guessing, NFT. I don't understand how these things work. Will go up for sale.
Who understands NFTs?
This is the interesting part. Will go up for sale soon, with a portion of the sale price heading to the Child Mind Institute. And not even donating all of it. I don't know whether or not that's possible for NFTs, for all of it to go to charity, but
I genuinely don't know. I feel like it must be.
But that wording of a portion was like, you're either giving it all to charity or you're not. Pick a lane.
Yeah.
Stick in it, please. It's not always been massively rosy for Evan Hansen as a thing. There has always been some backlash towards it. So the New Yorker published a piece in 2016, December 2016, like right after it opened. It would be amazing if Levinson had continued to dig into Evan's awfulness. Instead, he takes side trips into a knee-jerk liberalism and therapeutic healing, which I thought was very interesting. I mean, Evan Hansen is very neoliberalist.
Yeah.
Liberalistic?
Neoliberal.
That probably the way to say. One of the more uncomfortable moments of the show is when Alana, a black character played by Kristen Lloyd, is as a PC bully screams about her invisibility. Levinson's and the others try to keep up with the times and diversity. But why does it feel so forced and tried? Evan confessed his deceit and makes it clear that all he really wanted was to be loved, of course, because, well, of an absent daddy and an inattentive mummy and all of the nastiness of the world. With that false move, the show's creators risk destroying what is so simply fascinating about Evan. Still, until the second act, despite it, Platt gives a performance that blinds us to him in the way that Holden Caulfield and another team with a voice did. Especially when he says, "It's funny, don't tell anybody anything. If you do, you start missing everybody." So it is nice to know that not everyone was high on whatever was being pumped through the music box theatre.
Yeah, I think that review is basically sums up a lot of what we've been saying is bad about it.
And I like the fact that they picked up on the character of Alana, because I don't feel like we've really touched on that.
Yeah, she's a really weird character to just have thrown in there.
And then always played by a person of colour.
Yeah, because I really don't know how to explain Alana's character.
The musical would probably be fine if she wasn't there.
Yeah. So at points she almost becomes the villain.
Yes.
Like she's the one that leaks the letter.
Yeah.
She's the one that forces the creation of the Connor project when Evan didn't want it.
Yeah.
And it's a really weird thing because she doesn't actually do anything wrong. but she's always portrayed in this slightly negative light.
It's always
And
like,
there's this whole thing about how she's always alone and she doesn't have any friends, and that's her big problem.
yeah,
And then the tone of her character and the way we're forced to perceive her almost makes it seem like, well, she deserves it. She's not a good she doesn't deserve friends.
she's
And it's really
very.
weird.
Every time she comes on stage, you're meant to be annoyed by her.
Yeah. And it's really weird.
Really weird, and I do appreciate that.
I think every actress who has played her has done an incredible job.
They found the humanity in her, because there is
like
some.
I think her bit in Good For You is really good.
Oh my god! And she had, I mean, as the article says, when she does scream about her invisibility, nothing is done with it.
Yeah, she has a lot of good moments that I think you can build a character out of. It's just the script doesn't allow you to. Like her bit in You'll Be Found is really good. Her bit in like Disappear is really good.
The script is so focused on Evan and what he's doing that it never really goes beyond the scope of his world.
Yeah, because like we were saying, it has a really small cast.
Yeah.
And I feel like at times it substitutes Alana and kind of Jared, but less so Jared, to an ensemble role.
Yes.
To create a feeling of a more filled cast.
Yeah. Jared has a life. We know a lot more about Jared. Alana is so much of a stereotype.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. Anyway.
Then
I remember hearing about this article around like when it came out. It's from June 2017. It's called Dear Evan Hansen, You Are a Creep. It was in Slate. A self-serving fabulist exploits suicide of a high school classmate by pleading a fake connection to a dead boy. A con man reveals resulting internet fame, which wins him popularity and even the sexual attention of the boy's grieving sister, which is an amazing summary of the show.
Yeah, I think that's better than the one we read out earlier.
It was remarkable that this character, but what's remarkable about this character is that he's no villain. He is one of the most beloved protagonists of this theatre season. The musical ends with Evan realizing that his lies helped him to be honest with himself. Make no mistake, this unpacks an emotional wallop. But in this era when trust in our institutions is low and the bedrock value of honesty can seem to be under threat, there's something myopic about the biggest hit of the Broadway season celebrating a massive online fraud that helps kids learn to truly be himself. Which again,
yeah, I think again it's the thing that the musical is about Evan when it should be about Connor.
Yes.
But there's nothing about Connor or the Murphys in general.
I could not tell you a single thing about that man. Like,
and I think that's when we get into the fandom, I'm going to talk so much about this, that we basically created a character for Connor that's not real.
Yeah. Because people felt drawn to him, but there was nothing to go off of.
Yeah, we have the only scenes, we have one scene, 2 scenes of the real Connor, and then everything else is fake.
Mm-hmm.
We have the breakfast scene in Anybody Got a Map?
Yeah.
And the scene in the computer lab where he gets the letter.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm. But I think that these 2 pieces are really interesting because these were like, I remember the reception to the Slate one specifically almost being like, yeah, I can kind of get it, but you're wrong.
Yeah. Like, yeah, what you're saying is factually true, but you don't understand the nuance of the story.
You just don't understand. It's too complex for you. But
yeah.
But these would become almost normal talking points by the time it closed in 2021. And I think that the movie, which I don't think we're going to talk about in this episode, but you know,
I've not seen it, so I wouldn't add anything.
As the title says, pay us £20 and we'll watch it.
Honestly, if content starts getting low, I'll do it for less. But
the price will be your sanity.
Yeah.
Because I yeah. I've seen the Requiem bit. That was amazing.
Yeah.
I think I sent it to you when this part, watch this part only.
I don't think I watched it.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm gonna be real. I don't think I watched
There's
it.
one part where, as the song is building and it's coming to the end, Zoe's sat in the car and she lets go of the wheel.
Yeah, I
And she
remember you
just
talking about it.
goes, and I thought that was really good. But the movie didn't help because it brought it to a mainstream audience, and they weren't swept up in it.
I think if the movie had come out even just a few years earlier, it
Yeah,
would have done pretty well.
yeah,
You had the two things of one, Ben Platt being 30
and a nepo baby.
and looking like he was 30 and being a nepo baby, as well as just the message not surviving.
Yeah, if you're representing this message to a audience, to a new wider audience, and it's outdated, then
Because I think that was really telling that the first reactions to it were really good. And people were like, yeah, this is a good message. And then by the second time they basically re-released it as a movie,
yeah.
it was something like, this is really weird. Also, the only song I've listened to from the movie is Sincerely Me. Why did they make Jared gay? And why was he really stereotypically gay?
Like, Connor also hits the woe.
Yeah, it's I think the whole thing is just
Ben
kind of
Platt
outdated.
Naruto runs. Like,
It's just not good.
so good. I hate it. What else was I gonna say about it? I think, yeah, there's so much to that movie, and none of it is good.
Yeah, so we will not talk about it too much more.
Because, and also, one of the big sentiments I saw being said is Broadway people going, the mainstream are going to find out what Dear Evan Hansen's actually about, because they knew it, they didn't know what it was actually about. And I think we discussed this post that we saw of someone being like, Dear Evan Hansen's not about two gay guys.
Yeah, because there was this. It's like I was saying, the fandom basically created a character.
Well, do you want to get into the fandom then? Do you want to get into it? Because
we will talk about the fandom.
I've not got many.
Literally hours.
Well, okay. There will be a cut-off point.
Okay. The first thing is, which I think is then also a reflection of the show's treatment of mental health, is first of all, you have to understand Tree Bros was a thing.
Oh, I have an academic quote
to the fandom.
I have an academic quote about that.
On Tree Bros, the shipping of Connor and Evan is not restricted to the boundaries.
Yeah, this is from Tapping on the Glass, Generation Z, and Dear Evan Hansen by Bethany Doherty. Gen Z are beginning to manipulate the use of social media platforms through expressive art design, reimagined story, lyric images, and animations. We will get to the animatics when we talk about Be More Chill.
Oh my god.
Boy, do we have quotes for you. I went trawling through the backlogs.
I do think, I think we briefly talked about it in Hamilton, but I think Be More Chill is the animatic one.
I mean, we'll get to it, but I went trawling.
I think Evan Hansen is the fanfic one.
Well, yeah, they published fanfiction. Hamilton was everything and nothing.
Hamilton was the base for everything.
Yeah.
I think Dear Evan Hansen was the one where basically everything was just fanfics and it was kind of insane.
Yeah. Heather's
is fan art.
Yes.
You get and like cosplay.
Yeah, because it was so easy to do. I mean, Dear Evan Hansen.
You don't get people cosplaying Hamilton.
I want to see more people dress up like founding fathers, please.
I have seen a lot of people own the Eliza dress, but you don't see people cosplaying it.
Every time I go see Heather.
And we're here to change that.
Every time
we've actually been in full Hamilton cosplay every time we've recorded these. You just can't see it.
You can't tell. I'm definitely not wearing Taylor Swift merch right now.
I'm literally wearing basically my PJs. No, I'm not. I'm wearing the Eliza dress. And Esme's wearing the Angelica dress.
Yes,
we both have the revolutionary uniforms just off screen.
We've got them over the clothes actually.
Yeah, we're gonna do a 2-woman performance. I'm being George Washington.
I'll be Lafayette.
Guns and ships right now.
Yeah. No.
Anyways,
that's you're also
Hansen.
gonna have to pay for that. The price is gonna be higher than to make us watch Dear Evan Hansen. It's gonna be
God, this is worse.
God. On Tree Bros, shipping Connor and Evan is not only restricted to the boundaries of the Tree Bros hashtag, it has occurred vastly beyond that, with imagery of the two together becoming most popular through varying social media platforms. Images that directly reference the potential homosexual relationship Gen Z refers to this particular dynamic as slash between two
No, we don't. For reference, no, we don't.
No, slash is something different.
Slash is like early 2010s.
As
someone who has had unrestricted internet access for years, Slash is early 2010s.
I thought slash was what someone in the HIV living scandal would do.
Yeah.
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 You're gonna, not from us, we're not talking about
that. We're not gonna keep talking about it. Because we watched the video and we talked about it for like a month straight.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't keep talking about it because it became too annoying for even us.
One normal friend was like, what?
We'd randomly bring it up.
We'd be like, HIV living. Between the two characters evidence the fansons' desire for this case, and by far are the most popular, suggesting that this be sought after utopian performances the audience have made attempting to bring it to life. So that's an academic position on the fan dynamic.
And I'm gonna probably say the exact same thing, just far less eloquently.
Yeah.
Basically, everyone shipped them together.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little weird because Connor isn't a character; he's a concept, basically.
I don't get why Jared and Evan weren't the main pairing. I know they were a thing.
Because Jared was mean to Evan.
Sorry?
Once. Like Connor wasn't as well.
Connor literally,
like... Some people ship them.
Yeah.
Some people shipped all three. It was weird.
It's no weirder than Lambs. It's like, I don't know. How would you rank it though? Like out of all of the pairings, Tree Bros, Lambs, best friends.
Who the fuck? Boyfriends?
Huh?
Boyfriends.
No, boyfriends. Sorry, boyfriends.
Yeah.
How would you rank them? Like out of unhingedness.
Oh my god. Well, Lambs is first because
real people, founding fathers,
real people,
slave owners,
founding fathers, slave owners. That's the worst.
Yeah.
I think it has to be Tree Bros because again, Connor isn't a character.
I mean, at least
he's not.
Be More Chill played into it.
But Be More Chill, you can at least see why.
Yeah. Be More Chill, there's more to go off of. There's like a whole musical, whereas in Evan Hansen, there's like 2 scenes.
Also, the thing, and it's kind of the same with Hamilton. Lawrence and Hamilton really don't have that many scenes together.
I think there's like one historical letter, but no, what are you doing in the founding father's business for your fan fiction? Get a job.
Yeah, everyone shipped Connor and Evan together. But there was this kind of weird, there were basically 2 ways it could go, which was either they get together and both of them are cured from their mental illness, and now they're normal and happy all the time. And this was very common. Like the most common, I don't even want to call it a trope, but it basically was. So basically everything you would read or see would basically be like, they get together and they're so cute and they're so happy and they go and climb trees together in the apple orchard and they get ice cream together and they're both normal.
So basically they live out,
kill themselves anymore.
So their fan fiction is For Forever.
Yeah.
For Forever was just like Tree Bros Forta as something.
Yeah. And then there's this, I think the other one was much more rare, but it was, I think, the better one, which is an actual exploration of like how being in a relationship with another mentally ill person can kind of fuck you up a bit.
Yeah.
So that you can get through it.
Yeah. Also,
this other thing as well with the treatment of Connor, which was either the first one, which was everyone was like, no, he falls in love with Evan and then he becomes normal and nice all the time and everyone loves him and he's just a really sweet guy. But then the other one, which is Connor is unredeemable. Connor is evil. Connor wants to kill his sister. Connor has tried to kill his sister. Connor has tried to kill everyone in his family.
That's like insinuated though in the musical. Like
yeah, but it was basically this idea that because of how he was, and how he acted, which I guess is kind of true, but the fact that his mental health was untreated and how that made him act, makes him unredeemable, and that he is a horrible person, and that he can never be redeemed, and you should not like him. Which is a kind of dangerous thing to put out there. Because there are
Yeah.
people like that. There are people who
Yeah.
relate to that and who act like that.
And they are redeemable.
And they are redeemable. And I
But
think but
I think it's
it's like
nuanced. And these
yeah,
people weren't capable of this level of nuance.
yeah. And I think there's this thing, like Requiem is a great song.
Oh, it's amazing.
It really is. But I think that bit at the end with Zoe, people take really literally.
What when the villain falls
The
that bit?
kingdoms never weep. No one lights a
Oh,
candle to remember. No, no one mourns at all when they lay them
oh
down
my
down to sleep. And I
god.
think people took that really
But
literally.
I've always gotten no one mourns the wicked from Wicked vibes from that, which is basically like I'm really sad about this, but they were a horrible person, so gonna grin and bear it.
Yeah.
Although maybe I'm thinking
I
about it
think
too nuanced.
I think like the literal meaning, like if you just take the words at face value, essentially saying everyone is glad you're dead. You deserve
Yes,
to die. No one
yes,
is sad that you are dead.
yes. But if you actually look at the way it's always performed in the subtext of it, is she's meant to be happy that he's dead, so why is she like this? That's always how I've
Yeah,
interpreted
it's
it.
I think it's an interesting take on grief and how your
Yeah,
personal relationship will
a
affect your grief and that
hundred
no one grieves the
percent.
same way. I think it's really good, but people take it very literally, and it creates this kind of dangerous rhetoric. But then, because we talked about them like publishing fanfic and then really taking on board this,
Yeah,
when that is such a common idea, it becomes very dangerous to that for that to be associated with the actual show.
they
And then again, I
they
think it's then the actual message and the plot of the show, which is everything does get better when Connor dies. Everything
yeah,
goes right when Connor dies. Everyone
yeah.
is happy when Connor dies.
Evan gets exactly what he wanted because someone died.
Evan gets what he wanted. We see the Murphy family a lot happier than the one scene we see them with Connor.
Yeah,
They seem to be a functional family, finally.
yeah,
We see Zoe happy, we see Cynthia happy, Larry happy. And that does, if you think about it, create a very harmful narrative of if you're not,
if you
what's
have
the word I'm looking
any
for?
kind, if your mental health symptoms are not traditional, are not normal of what Evan Hansen is putting forward, then
Because like
it's not right.
Evan's mental health symptoms are very palatable. He's
Yes,
nervous a lot. He
yeah,
says sorry a lot. He like stims and fidgets a lot.
they're watered down for a
And
mainstream
it's
audience.
clear that, yeah, it's very clear he's different from the main cast of normal, in quotation marks, characters. But it's not so much that he is really an outcast beside that.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like in real life, if someone acted like that, they would not be isolated the way that Evan is in the musical. They
Yeah,
might, bullies are going to think they're a little weird, but
but
they're not going to be completely isolated like he is.
I mean, again, I'm going to talk about external, but in that the mental health symptoms that they put forward, and I mean, it's basically said that everyone in the family is suffering from something, and it's all manifesting in this almost socially taboo way. Like the mother's talking to her
Yeah.
dead son, the
Mm.
daughter's dealing with the chaos of her life by being addicted to her mother's prescription pills, and the
Yeah.
father is just plainly overlooking it all. Whereas David Hansen's just like, I'm a bit nervous. Well,
And then I think that is also part of the problem with Connor's character.
yeah.
Because is he a ghost? Is he a hallucination?
Is he a manifestation of guilt? What is he?
Yeah. Because it's never addressed. Which in theory should be fine because, audience make your own decisions. What is he?
Yeah.
But
I think if you're telling a story, like if it was the Murphy Family musical, sure, go into what is Connor, but it's not. It's Dear Evan Hansen.
because yeah, if he's a ghost, that creates a different storyline than if he's a hallucination, and that creates a different storyline than if he's a manifestation of guilt. Because if he's a ghost, it feels less serious.
Yes.
Ghosts aren't real. This guy isn't real. He's just there. If it's a hallucination, that ties into Evan's mental health and what is actually, I don't want to say what's wrong with him, but
What's not
what is he
typical?
suffering from? Yeah,
Yeah.
what atypical, what's he suffering from? Is this part of him stopping taking the meds? If it's a manifestation of guilt, why isn't it expanded on more? Because I think manifestation of guilt is right. because towards the end, as Evan starts feeling more and more guilty, Connor becomes angrier.
Yeah.
But then I feel like it's not explored enough.
But still, Connor's presence is such a non-thing factor in the musical.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really remember when Connor was on stage. Like, I remember that he was there.
I do.
It's just
I remember.
oh,
It's because I've read the script.
Yeah, you have the script on your phone. I don't want to do that to
funny.
myself. They did do a coffee table book that had the entirety of the script in it, in the middle of it.
I just remember sending you some really weird screenshots of like stage directions from the script.
Yes, and they're very interesting to me. I do like reading a script every so often.
We're drama students, so
Not currently, but you know, because it's really interesting what stage directions that they put in as like every production needs to have this happen in it.
So, for example, and it's not really stage directions, it's dialogue.
Yeah.
Which is it's after Evan has lied initially to the Murphy family, where he basically insinuates that doesn't directly lie, but he insinuates he knows Connor or he knew Connor. And he tells Jared, and Jared's like, well, maybe you should just keep it up. And Evan says, what do you expect me to do? Just keep lying? And Jared says, I didn't say lie. All you have to do is nod and confirm. Whatever they say about Connor, you just nod your head and you say, yeah, that's true. Don't contradict and don't make shit up. It's foolproof. Literally nothing I tell my parents is true, and they have no idea. Also, Alana has a monologue in this section.
Isn't it like her one monologue?
It's going on at the same time, but it's her tweeting or saying something, and she goes, in the middle of this, 3 days ago, Connor Murphy was here, and now he's gone. Evan, they were so sad. His mum was just, I've never seen anyone so sad before. Jared, well, then good thing you're about to tell her the truth about your sex letter. I'm sure that will cheer her right up. I also think this is why there's so much tree bro shit, because Jared says his parents think you were lovers. You realize that, right?
I think Jared kind of plays into it.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's why they're not a pairing, because it's like Jared was a supportive person.
Also, this is, I think, one of the weirdest and also the most interesting to analyze pieces of stage direction in the entire script, which is, I think, the like peak of You Are Not Alone.
Yeah.
The voices overlap, and each of the individual threads becomes part of the larger stream of messages, and one by one they fuse with the stream until there is no separation between them. A dreamlike feel, like we have fallen into some kind of collective hallucination. Maybe this is what life after death feels like, or maybe what it would feel like to fall into the internet.
Ooh, interesting.
And I could write essays on that single little piece of stage direction.
Anyway, Jared Kleiman eats bath bombs.
So yeah, Evan Hansen could be really interesting, and it could be a very nuanced take on mental health if they cared to do that. They don't, and so the fandom doesn't either, and so you get Jared Kleiman eats bombs.
It was just canoned. Everyone was like, "Yep, Jared, he eats some bath bombs."
And unironically, that joke was the reason I went and found the script and read it. Because for some reason I was sure that there was some mention of like lush or something in the script, and that's where we got it from.
It's so specific for a ton of people just to be able to go, yeah, Jared Kleiman, he eats bath bombs.
And I genuinely do not remember why. And I haven't looked it up because I was like, if I don't remember, then mystery.
I think probably just someone put it out there as a headcanon, and everyone was then like, okay, this works.
Yeah.
Because there are Instagram posts that you sent me today that were referencing it.
Yeah, so I went through my Instagram saves all the way back to like December 2017. I sent all of the musical theatre bad jokes to Esme. God. And so we had a Jared Kleiman eats bath bombs in there. We had a joke about, and we will talk about this a lot later. Ben Platt's Wicked Bootleg collection.
Love Ben Platt.
Love Ben Platt. Love his bootlegs.
Love his bootleg collection. That's on the short list of things I love about Ben Platt. The other one is
I think
Parade.
Oh, no, go ahead. Yes.
That's it.
I was gonna say, I think the concept of bootlegs, which I've never watched, but the concept of bootlegs ties really well into the whole social media message of Evan Hansen. and kind of what they were trying to avoid, because their whole point is like, actually, when you put things on the internet, sometimes, and you won't believe this, guys, but sometimes it's wrong, and sometimes it's not true. Don't look so
People
shocked.
lie.
Sometimes it's wrong.
People lie on the internet. What the hell?
People lie on the internet.
On the internet.
But sometimes they might. And sometimes it might not be true, and you might fall into basically a scam to give people who are lying your money, hence the Connor Project.
Maybe we're scamming you, and we won't watch Evan Hansen if you give us £20.
Maybe.
Actually, that's true. That's not true, because I think
you can donate to
the Connor Project.
Setting up a GoFundMe called the Connor Project, and it's for us to watch Dear Evan Hansen, which should be called Connor Murphy the Musical, and it's a petition to change the name. Our goal is £1 million. I promise it's not a scam.
And all we're going to do with that money is watch Evan Hansen.
Yeah. And we're gonna give you little buttons that say the Connor Project.
Yeah. Also, so if you do give us money, we will watch it and we will record our reactions to it.
Yeah.
But just back to
I think bootlegs are really weird because like Lin-Manuel Miranda also said this, but he was like, bootlegs misrepresent my work because they're not live theatre.
I wonder, like, that's the composer side of Lin talking that we're not supposed to hear from, though.
Yeah. I think that's not true because
that's bad reacting to a bootleg. I will insert it somewhere where people at home can view, but that was like a thing. Like, people would just clip people reacting to bootlegs of themselves, like of being taken and being like, oh.
I love that. I actually still do watch compilations of like performers seeing the camera. They're so funny to me.
Yes, like, there's always like a double take.
Hilarious.
I was like,
yeah. They're like, they do a scan of the crowd and they suddenly go back to one and they direct like the rest of the song at the camera. And I'm like, oh, you're about to get kicked out. That's so good.
Amazing. But
I love it.
Bootlegs are Ben Platt, his wicked bootlegs, and Parade. Also, not being in the VIP tent at the Eras tour. That's the things I like about Ben Platt.
Hi, my name is Ben Platt. My dad is Mark Platt, the producer of Wicked.
Wicked.
Have you seen the Facebook group Addicted to Wicked?
But no, one thing that would be like often said is Jared Kleiman secretly runs the Denny's Tumblr account. Pass it on. Connor is the head of the Wendy's Twitter. Yes.
Connor is dead.
Connor doesn't have an opinion on Wendy's Twitter because he died.
Because he killed himself.
He killed himself. Also, okay, like, sure. Hello,
no. I'm Ben Platt and my dad is Mark Platt, the producer of Wicked.
Oh yeah, you sent it to me.
Ben Platt, Addicted to Wicked, 21st of August 2007.
That's my birthday.
Oh my god. This is a birthday present to you.
I'm gonna quote that all day on my birthday.
I'm gonna print it out and that's gonna be my birthday card to you.
Frame it. Hello, Ben Platt. I'm Ben Platt. My dad is Mark Platt, the producer of Wicked. Oh. Yeah. I mean, there was just an overall baby girling and almost infantilizing of Evan as well.
Yeah.
So, like, the post I'm looking at now is like Evan, but it's spelled EVUN. And it's anxious, just wants to be loved, craves acceptance, only answers in text with one-word answers, just goes along with everything.
There's this, like, it really is just a babyfication of them.
Yeah.
Which is, again, a problem in, like, mental health discussions that they're seeing. People with mental health issues are often, like, infantilized.
Yeah.
And, like, you can't do anything for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're so baby, you're so helpless. We have to help you with everything.
Yeah, I know, 100%.
Like,
no, but like even like I get it with my dyslexia, where people are like, "Can you read?" I was once asked in a.
I've been doing that to you.
No,
keep talking
like once someone in a year 9 English class, year 9's like 13, 14, asked me if I could read.
I can't.
No, Nell's illiterate.
I'm illiterate.
Like Leah Michelle.
Like Leah Michelle, I'm illiterate.
Oh, I love Leah Michelle. I actually don't. I love the Leah Michelle can't read joke. As someone who has a disability that affects their reading, I can make Leah Michelle can't read jokes. Thank you very much, Jamila Jamil. Oh god. Yeah, no, just a ton of Jared Kleinman eats bath bombs, like, and it was all very focused around the boys.
Yeah, nothing about Zoe, nothing about Alana.
The boys.
People ship those two together
Yeah, there was nothing else.
because they were the only two girls.
Yeah, there was no one else to really ship them with. It would have been Did people ship the mothers? Or is that too weird?
No.
Okay.
No. I can look.
Okay.
I'm gonna say this, and I need everyone to know that I'm only saying this because everyone who listens to this is my best friend. My best friends ever. Give me £20. We're all best friends ever. I definitely have Evan Hansen fanfics bookmarked on AO3.
You're so brave.
I'm really brave. But I think I know exactly which one it is. If it's still here, it might have been deleted.
Your bravery cannot be unmatched.
Thank you.
But yeah, it was the wild, wild west. See, it was the unhingedness of the Hamilton fandom, but it never got the mainstream attention. No one was ever like cultural masterpiece. Different.
I actually.
But no one was ever like. So like there was the Great Hamilton dumpster fire, but
yeah,
like no one ever looked over to see what the hell the more mentally ill people were doing with Evan Hansen.
I do just want to say on AO3, obviously top relationship tag is Evan Hansen and Connor Murphy.
Yep.
It's honestly not close. They have 2,857 works.
Uh-huh.
Under that is Evan Hansen and Jared Kleinman with 1,169 works.
Yep.
Under that is Alana Beck and Zoe Murphy with 761. And then Platonic Evan Hansen and Jared Kleinman with 557. Platonic Evan Hansen and Connor Murphy with 473. Platonic Connor Murphy and Zoe Murphy with 423. Jared Kleinman / Connor Murphy is 386. Evan Hansen / Zoe Murphy is 382.
That's insane that like the actual main ship of the show, the one that the show like puts forward, has 300 fan fictions.
And this one's going to throw you off a little bit.
I think I know what's coming.
Works, I'm not sure you do. With 310 works in the Dear Evan Hansen tag is Jeremy here / Michael Mell.
Yeah, not surprised. They show up everywhere.
And then just under that is Evan Hansen, Jared Kleinman, and Connor Murphy.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised.
I want to let you know one of the top additional tags is alternate universe. Everyone lives, nobody dies.
Well, obviously, none of like half
and then
the
basically
can't happen if someone's dead.
Yeah.
Look,
so basically, it goes fluff, angst, everyone lives, no one dies, and then we get into the interesting tags, which are implied / reference suicide, suicide attempt, anxiety, depression, hurt / comfort, implied / reference self-harm, suicidal thoughts. Those are the top tags.
Everyone is very mentally sane.
Oh yeah.
God. Can't wait for Heathers next time. Oh yeah, Heathers is next.
I want to let you know Michael Mell is also one of the top characters written about in the tag.
Where is Zoe? Like in reference to Michael Mell from Be More Chill.
Zoe is 4th.
Right, where's Michael Mell?
It goes Evan, Jared, Connor, Zoe, Alana, Heidi, Cynthia, Larry, Connor. Again? Oh, it's a different Connor. And then Michael Mell.
Is Jeremy here there?
No.
Let's start a campaign.
Stop writing about Evan Hansen and get Jeremy here on the Evan Hansen tag.
Oh God. Yeah.
It's actually really sad that the fanfic I was thinking about isn't still on my phone. I'm gonna try and find it one day.
What? Not now, because you spent a solid.
No, not now.
Hour.
I spent like an hour trying to find a specific post on Instagram, only to find it was deleted.
All that's left is us talking about said post.
Yeah.
So we can piece it together.
When we talk about 6, we'll talk about it because it's really funny.
I think we might have finished the beast. That is.
Don't think I can do anymore.
Dear Evan Hansen, obviously, give us some money. We'll watch the film and talk about it. Yeah. So
Final thoughts. I hate Dear Evan Hansen. Even if at any point I sounded vaguely positive about it, I still hate it.
My closing statements: justice for Connor Zoe Murphy, and I hope I can get rid of the demon that is Dear Evan Hansen.
I think with the closure of Dear Evan Hansen, I think we were finally taking a right step into getting Nepo babies off Broadway.
Lesser and Parade.
Strike!
We're seeing Newsies tomorrow.
I bought us tickets. It cost me like 60 quid.
Anyway, next time, I don't know. I feel like next time won't be as unhinged. This might be the most unhinged we get.
We've got a Phantom episode coming up. That's gonna be much worse.
Actually, this coming up is my show. It's my show. It's my time to talk.
Oh yeah.
It's Heather's.
The problem is, right, I think Heather's we're gonna be slightly unhinged.
But no, next we've got Heather's. Shall I say how many times I've seen Heather's?
Yeah.
It's 5. I've seen it 5 times. Over 5 years. 5 years, you know.
Not terrible.
Not terrible. There are people out there who've seen it like 50 times.
There are people who have seen Mincemeat 7 times, and it's not even been open a year.
That's unhinged. But we will get into the rise of Heather's, and where actually we need to discuss where Dear Evan Hansen goes from here. I hope to the grave.
I think they're going to try and revive it, and it's not going to work.
It'll
be a bad Cinderella situation where they try and revive it, it doesn't work. They close it very soon.
We will get to bad Cinderella one day.
I think Dear Evan Hansen it's in a shallow grave.
It's in a grave. It's died a long and painful death.
Yeah.
But I can't say we didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
There is no way they could have kept up where it was before.
I think the fandom was carrying it, and then in like 2020, the entire fandom gained consciousness and realized, holy shit, this show is bad.
This show is horrific.
And then there was no one to keep it afloat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I remember when my mum told me she bought me tickets and I had a breakdown, but then she said, well, you have to go. We got tickets. So I went with Esme and we went to the theatre cafe and we were like, what if we just left? What if we didn't go?
We sat in the theatre cafe we went to school that day and then we came back, got changed.
We met at 4 p.m. at the station.
4 p.m. at the station, which school got out at like 3:10.
Yep, so we had to run home.
We had to run home.
Each like 10 minutes to get home.
Yep.
Get dressed, 10 minutes, 20 minutes to get to the station.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Not even 20 minutes to get to the station, because I got the tube over to your station.
Oh yeah, they just waited on the platform.
They just waited on the platform, like we do with Bunny and Clyde.
I came down. Yeah. I came down. We got on the train, went to the theatre cafe. We sat there for like 4 hours.
3-4 hours talking absolute rubbish.
And then we went to the theatre. There was someone in cosplay.
Oh my god, and I had to tear you away from them. I was like, nope.
I nearly killed them. Then we watched it, and we had the understudy who sounded freakishly like Ben Platt. It was on the West End, so it wasn't like
amazing.
He was incredible. He was.
What I will say was great performances all round.
Yeah, and then we met him backstage afterwards, and he asked us, "What's your favorite song?" And we said, "Good for You," and he said, "That's the song I'm not in."
And then he said, "That's a lot of people's favorite song."
We hate Evan.
And that's when I was like, "Oh, other people hate Evan Hansen."
Yeah. But no, he was lovely. He was really nice. Then we went home. Then we decided we hate this show even more than before.
Then we launched a hate campaign that has not stopped.
And I think that's kind of what happened with most fans. Not as in like seeing the show and realizing it was bad, but kind of like waking up and being like, wow, this isn't great.
I think one day everyone just kind of decided to start a hate campaign towards it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd like to give thanks to the brave soldiers who've been on the front lines since day one. Great Comet stands.
You're welcome.
You're not a great Comet stan.
I used to be, actually. I've listened to it. I used to listen to it quite a lot, and now I don't remember any of it.
Yeah, it's a lot. I'm scared of War and Peace because of Great Comet.
Yeah. You point it out every time we go into like Waterstones.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's 80 pages of that is Great Comet.
Yeah.
Anyway, Great Comet stands. I hope you're having a peaceful life. Ben Platt, give me your wicked bootlegs.
Ben Platt, hope you're okay. Stop
Stop.
getting mad when people call you a nepo baby. You are a nepo baby.
You're
Hi, I'm Ben Platt. My dad is Mark Platt, the producer of Wicked. You're a nepo baby.
I love how honestly he would say it in 2007, but not nowadays.
How old is he in
I don't
2000?
know. I don't care to know.
I don't know when he was born.
I don't know when Ben Platt was born. That's none of my business. But yeah, join us next time for Heathers. Thank you for listening. If you actually got all the way through this,
thank you so much for dealing with us.
dealing with us, pay us, and we'll watch it. Bye bye.